Welcome to Mind Over Matter. Today's guest, Joe Rivera, known as the Comeback King, embodies spirit of resilience. From Park Avenue success to hitting rock bottom and rebuilding from within. Joe's journey is a masterclass in transformation. As a high performance coach and founder of Reforge Academy, he helped leaders break through stagnation, rediscover purpose, and rise stronger than ever. Welcome to the show, Joe. It's such an honor to have you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Mhm. So, Joe, resilience is often talked about like a badge of honor. But what does it truly mean to live it, especially when everything falls apart?
Well, I mean, to truly live it is incredible, actually. It teaches you strength. It teaches you that failure is part of success. I wouldn't be who I am without my resilience. My resilience is definitely um, a huge core value of mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And was there a defining moment in your lowest point that shifted how you saw yourself or purpose?
Well, I went from Park Avenue to Park Bench. I lost everything. I even almost lost my life. I had my dream job in the financial industry as a stockbroker. In the early 2000s, I'm 25 years old, making seven figures a year. I should feel like I'm on top of the world at this point, but seven figures a year? Nah, that ain't good enough. Because I live in a world with a belief system of never enough. I want more. I want eight figures or nine figures. I'm chasing that fast life. And at this point in my life, being spiritually bankrupt, money's the only higher power that I know. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make more money. I'm putting in late nights at the office one evening, and this dude, we call him Johnny Connect. We call him that because he had the connections to get his hands on anything you could imagine. And keep in mind, we're in New York, so this dude swears that he's part of the mafia. He sits down at my desk and he says, "Hey, Joe, you think you're a top producer now? Take this little round pill and forget about it. You're going to produce even more." Wall Street is also known as Drug Street, and everybody's doing some kind of drug. I'm already smoking weed, drinking, or having some kind of mind altering substance in my body every single day for the past 15 years at this point. So I said, fuck it. Why not? And that's when I got introduced to opiates. And that's when my battle with substance abuse took off to the next level. My life goes dark and becomes completely unmanageable. I'm risking my life every single day. I overdosed twice. The last time, it took 6 cans of Narcan to bring me back to life. Six fucking cans of Narcan. That same night, I'm laying in the hospital bed. I wake up. I pull the EKG electrodes off my body, leave the hospital against medical advice. And then when I get outside, it's the middle of winter. I'm in a hospital gown, shivering, looking like a crackhead like Pookie from New Jack City because of all the opiates that were being taken out of my system. And the first thing that I do, I go call the dealer again to go get high. A week or two later, my sister invited me for an event. I had no intentions on going to some motivation rah rah and get motivated. That was the last thing on my mind. But something inside of me pulled me to go. And at that event, I don't remember exactly what it was, but something inside of me cracked open. I looked at my sister, she looked at me, and we both started crying. She knew exactly what I was gonna say, and then the words came out. The words my family was waiting to hear for over a decade. I said, "I don't wanna do this anymore, sis. I'm a shell of my true self. I'm tired of writing my obituary. I wanna begin creating my legacy." After that, I made the most important decision of my life to go get sober. My story is not unique. Many people struggle with vices. Mine was drugs and alcohol. Someone else might be gambling, sex, shopping, overeating, whatever that vice is. It interferes with us being our true self by having us isolate, not being fully present. It creates character defects. For some, life may become unmanageable. They may lack direction. Some people lose motivation in their self esteem. But I promise you, you don't have to live like that. There's a better way to live life. And I'm living proof because when you find and you live in your purpose, that's when the real comeback begins. So the huge turning point in my life that was where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the moment when I told my sister that I didn't want to do it anymore because I realized that I couldn't do it on my own. I tried for so many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's powerful. It shows resilience isn't just about surviving, but reforging yourself into something even more authentic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's about really learning to peel the onion back because listen, man, putting the drugs and alcohol down, that was the easy part. I had to learn to be able to peel back the onion and take stock of who I was. That's where the real stock that's where the real work was. You know what I mean? And learning to look into the mirror and apologize to myself for all the damage that I caused, all the self-destruction, the damage I caused my family, the pain, the agony. I had to be able to look into the mirror and look at the man that I was looking at and be able to forgive myself because I had to learn to be able to change my mindset. But I had to learn to also, and most importantly, change my identity, change who I was from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And you call yourself the comeback king. What does a comeback actually look like in real life? Not the highlight reel, but the process.
Well, it goes back to what I just said, really doing that moral inventory, peeling back that onion and making changes from within. Because I had to realize that, it wasn't about the people around me. It wasn't about the places around me. I wasn't a victim of my circumstances and conditions. They didn't control me. I did. I control my destiny and realizing that and opening up to that and saying, you know what? I don't have to go certain places. I don't have to be around certain people. I could change my circle. I could change the places I go and be able to elevate my game to the next level. Because man, when you fall into that rock bottom part of your life, you start blaming everything around you. You start blaming the people around you, the places you're at. And you know what? You're making those choices to be around those people. You're making those choices to be in those places. And you got to remove toxic energy from your life, no matter what it is, no matter who it is. Sometimes people you love are people who are toxic in your life. And you know what? You got to love them from a distance. That's just the way it goes. So the work is not what people see on Instagram and what you're showing and people going around and saying, "Yeah, I got, 5 years sober." Or I got 5 years of coming back from building my business back from the ground up. And they want to show all the glitz and glamour, but you know what? What are you doing in the dark? Talk about the times that you struggled through that comeback, because this comeback ain't a straight line to success. There's bumps in the road. Shit gets fucked up. And we got to be able to navigate through those bumps in the road. And the way that we do that is by latching on and leaning into our core values that are uncovered along the journey of cracking through that belief system. Because when you're bouncing back in life, there's a belief system that was built up when you hit that bottom. And that belief system has to get cracked through. For me, it was I'm not good enough. For me, it was the masks that I wore to hide from shame. For me, it was, I'm not worthy. For me, it was self-validation and having to crack through those limited beliefs was work. And that's the work that gets done in the dark. And it starts by creating a new story in your mind. Because man, the story that we tell ourselves ends up the story that we live, the life that we live. And in order to change your life, you got to change the story that you're telling yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And how do you help your clients find the same spark when they've lost belief in themselves?
Well, one thing I say is, if you can't believe in yourself yet, borrow some of mine, because I've seen what happens when men and women rise from rock bottom. I've lived the overdose. I buried the guilt, and I've rebuilt the purpose. And I know this for a fact. You're not done. You're not disqualified, and you're not average. You're a force to be reckoned with, but only if you choose to be. So stop stalling. Stop living beneath the legacy that you were built to carry. And it's about, if you can't believe in yourself yet, borrow something from the people around you. Build a support network around you that's going to help you grow, because you are who you surround yourself with, right? Growing up, my family had a saying, which was, dime con quien te andas y te digo quién eres. I never really paid attention to what that meant till later on in life. It means, tell me who you walk with, and I'm going to tell you who you are. You want to be around people who will inspire you and challenge you to go out of your comfort zone. If you surround yourself with people who will always inspire you, guess what? You're always inspired to do more with your life. Having a support group is absolutely vital. When I went to rehab and I finally made that decision, I thought I was tough enough to do it alone. I said, I got this. I don't need nobody to lean on. I'm gonna figure it out like I always do. But let me tell you something. Trying to fight demons in the dark by yourself, that's a battle you're not gonna win. I remember walking into that rehab, staring at the ceilings, feeling like the walls were closing in on me. I didn't want to ask anybody for help. I didn't want to share my story, my failure, my shame. Because asking for help, it felt like another loss, another hit to my ego. But the truth, my ego was the very thing keeping me in that vicious cycle. So I took the first healthy risk of my life, and I raised my hand. I walked into those rooms where men called each other out on their bullshit and wouldn't let me hide behind a perfect story. I listened to the dude who had 30 days sober. I listened to the guy who was in and out of rehab 10 years in a row. And I listened to every single story in between. And I borrowed their hope until I could find my own. And that's when I realized my network, it wasn't just support, it was survival. Fast forward, I get out of rehab, start rebuilding my life. and I started chasing success again. I built my business back up, started stacking wins, and then guess what happened? That old ego came creeping back up. We all know that voice of the ego because we all got one. Mine was talking about, come on, man, you got this, homie. You don't need nobody. You done built multi-million-dollar business after multi-million-dollar business. You done raised hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't need nobody to tell you how to be successful. But I knew better this time. So I took another healthy risk. I walked into rooms with a bunch of people who were making 10 times more than I was. Rooms where I wasn't the alpha. Rooms where I had to drop the ego and admit, I don't know everything. I'm here to learn. I didn't just show up for the business strategies. I showed up for the mindset, for the energy, for the stories. I started asking questions that made me sweat. I started having conversations that punch holes in my comfort zone. And that's when it hit me. My network is my net worth, not just in dollars, but in direction, in discipline, in destiny. I realized that asking for help, taking those healthy risks, getting uncomfortable, stepping into the unknown, that's what builds real wealth. Wealth of spirit, wealth of mind, wealth of impact. So if you're sitting there thinking that you could outwork the world alone, you're already losing because your next level is locked behind a door called community. And the key, that's your willingness to be seen. I'm talking fully seen. I took that healthy risk and it turned my pain into power, my story into service, and my network into a launch pad that I never even knew I needed. That's how I went from crawling alone to commanding rooms. That's how I built my true comeback. That's how I started to believe in myself. Something happens when you let your guard down and allow real support in. You strip away all the noise, all the distractions, and the masks, they come off. And what's left? It's that raw, unfiltered reason you hear in the first place. It's your why. So take those healthy risks. Surround yourself with greatness and elevate your circle so that you could elevate your belief system and you could elevate your level of where you're going in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It reminds us that every comeback starts with a conversation of faith within, not applause from others.
Yeah, no. You if you're waiting for applause from other people, you're gonna be waiting a long time, man. You gotta celebrate your own wins. Celebrate yourself, man. It's so important. I was just telling my niece the other day, she got an award for her dance class. She was one out of like hundreds of kids. And she was one of like 20 kids out of those hundreds that got the award. And she I told her how important it is for her to celebrate herself. Don't wait for other people to validate and tell her how good of a job she did. Celebrate it herself, celebrate the wins. Because those are the moments you want to enjoy in your journey to greatness. It's not about the destination. It's about the wins in between, that journey, the growth, the bumps in the road, the practicing, the all that pays off to get to where you're what you're doing in the dark that nobody sees. Those are the ones you got to celebrate anyway. Give yourself the grace to be able to celebrate those wins.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%. And many high performers struggle in silence. Why do you think it's so hard for leaders to admit they're struggling?
Ego. Man, ego will kill you if you allow it to. Man, for me, I remember, I struggled for a long time with asking for help. Not just drugs and alcohol. I mean, that was a whole circus of not asking for help, right? But even after that, when I got back into the financial industry after achieving sobriety, I was able to build another multi-million-dollar business in the financial industry. And even though I was crushing it and living this incredible life, something was missing. And God kept nudging at me and pulling at me, telling me that my journey's not complete and that I had more to accomplish in life. And for years after getting sober, I kept asking God, man, how do I give this back to you? I can't give it back to you in a physical form. You don't exist physically. There's not enough thank yous in the world to express the amount of gratitude that I have for you saving my life. Not just the 2 times that I overdosed. What about all those times that I drove home and don't remember how I got home? What about those times where I ended up in a hotel room and I should have ended up dead, but I walked out alive? Those aren't coincidences. Those are God incidences. And through this journey of personal development and sobriety, I learned the difference between religion and spirituality. And I learned to build a relationship with my higher source, whether you call it God, the universe, the infinite intelligence, whatever you believe. And I realized that believing something greater than myself to help me unlock my fullest potential is vital for success. But I also realized that spirituality is about being able to sit with yourself and connect with those thoughts. And as I kept asking the question of how do I give this back, that still voice got louder and stronger. And God kept telling me, you know that story that you got inside you? The one that I saved your life for? That story don't belong to you. I didn't give you that story for you to hold it inside. I gave it to you so you could go out there and create impact with it. You hold that story inside, you're just being selfish. I didn't create you to be selfish. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And that's when I said enough's enough. I'm not going to argue with the man upstairs because I'm not going to win that battle. And that's when I decided to build my speaking and coaching platform. But let me be real with y'all. That decision didn't come easy. It meant stepping away from the comfort of big checks and boardrooms. It meant putting down my power suits for raw vulnerability. It meant putting my scars on the line for the world to judge. I didn't want to tell the world about the times I overdosed or the times that I didn't feel like getting out of bed. But that's what true surrender is. It's about being vulnerable and being able to ask for help. And I had to learn a whole new industry. I didn't know anything about, putting my life on social media. I didn't know anything about funnels. I didn't know anything about systems and processes. I didn't know anything about managing my social media accounts. I was trying to do everything on my own because when I was in the financial industry raising hundreds upon millions of dollars, I didn't need to go out there asking for help because I was the man. I was the one man show. I was doing everything on my own. I didn't want to let go of control. I had a team, but I didn't let go of control. And in this business, in this journey that I'm on now, I had to learn how powerful it was to let go of control and allow other people to help. Because you know what? Now I'm blessed to be able to delegate responsibilities. I'm blessed to have an amazing team who keeps things together for me. And then I could focus on what I do best. So removing the ego was a huge blessing and lesson for me on this journey and allowing myself to be able to ask for help, allow the help to come in, and then I could focus on what I do best, and that's being of service to my clients and to my audiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such an honest take. It flips the script on leadership, showing that courage is found in transparency, not perfection.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, without a doubt, transparency is where courage is. There's no such thing as perfection. Perfection is just an illusion. Perfection doesn't exist. That's the problem people get caught up on is perfection. But you know what? It's about progression, not the perfection. As long as you progress every day, that's the win. So yeah, you gotta be vulnerable. You gotta be transparent. And you know what? If you fall on your face, if you fail, so what? You get back up. You learn from that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And what an inspiring and raw conversation with Joe Rivera. He reminds us that resilience isn't about bouncing back, it's about building anew with faith as the foundation and courage as the blueprint. So, wherever you are in your story, know this: your comeback is already in motion. Stay tuned for more empowering journeys on Mind Over Matter.
Awesome. I wanted to give away a gift to your audience. So the gift that I have, if you DM me the word code, you're gonna get access to my comeback code. And in it, you're gonna get the 10 laws of the comeback. It's raw, no BS. We're talking mindset rewires that pull you out of survival mode and back into leadership. You're going to get the 72-hour reset protocol. It's short, savage, and spiritual. This gets you edged back real quick. You're going to get the Remember Who You Are audio drop. It's 6 minutes of yours truly in your ear when you need to snap out of the fog. And you're going to get the self-sabotage expose sheet. It's the habits you've been sugarcoating, exposed with ruthless clarity so that you could kill them at the root. So if you're ready to shift, not someday, but today, DM me the word code on Instagram and I'll get that out to you guys just for your audience.
That's amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much.